Greetings and salutations, everyone, loyal viewers and newcomers. If you don't know, or you're probably likely already aware, we are on a campaign to save the reel. Hashtag save the reel, because this show is one of the funniest shows to ever exist on television and on the internet.com. And I, Sean Fitzgerald of this channel, the actual Justice Warrior, would like to buy a home someday, and a lot of you like my real response videos, and that equals money for me. So in that vein, hashtag save the reel, hashtag make Sean a homeowner. Now, the reel is worth saving, and one of the reasons why we know it's worth saving is because we have wonderful content from them produced on the daily and will continue to be produced once we save this show. The June 3rd deadline for this show being canceled is not believed. They're going to give us season 9. We're going to force their hand because we need this. And the video we're going to talk about today is a video of them allegedly talking about an 8-year-old black boy being arrested by the Syracuse police in a very disturbing video. And I have to talk about this because it is important. Now, we're going to go over this because it's an amazing example of race grifting, and like many of the videos that the left wing produces that are race grifting, there is a lie in the title of the video. The boy was not arrested, the boy was detained and brought home, and he did in fact steal the bag of chips, and this wasn't the first time. So with that being said, we're going to roll into our sponsor, then we'll catch you on the other side, and we'll dissect this video of the reel while simultaneously pointing out that we need to save the reel. For years now, people have been setting up a contest in their mind between crypto and gold, but the thing is, that's like comparing a truck to an SUV. Sure, they're similar in certain ways, they both can carry things to and from, but in reality, they're meant to perform different functions. The purpose of gold is to keep the value of your money and hedge against inflation, and since the whole debacle between Russia and Ukraine, we've seen gold outperform a lot of the stocks that are typically seen as reliable. So if you're worried about the uncertainty in the market and who isn't right now, call and talk to an expert over at Noble Gold and learn about a precious metals IRA. They'll tell you straight up what your options are and walk you through the entire process. And right now, if you sign up for a qualifying precious metal IRA with Noble Gold, you will receive a 3-ounce silver America Virtue coin. It's absolutely wonderful, and I highly recommend you go over and check it out. That's noblegoldinvestments.com, 877-646-5347, noblegoldinvestments.com.
So there's this video online that has many people upset for what looks like an arrest of an 8-year-old boy who allegedly stole a bag of chips in upstate New York.
Now, I talk a lot about how the left likes to introduce ambiguity into situations where things aren't ambiguous. However, saying allegedly stole a bag of chips is perfectly fine because this kid wasn't convicted. Now, he wasn't arrested. The idea that the video appears to show this is nonsensical. They said in the video that went viral, that was recorded by a crazy person who was screaming at the cops, that they were going to take him home. They did ultimately take him home, so the video does not show an arrest. The kid was not handcuffed, if you guys are unclear about that. And to be clear, he did in fact steal these chips. The store owner identified him. He was shown on surveillance camera to be the person who stole the chips. And coincidentally, they were holding the chips at the time that the police approached. So all of that ambiguity that may be introduced, the allegedly, is totally fine. Ignore all of that. This did happen, and the police did not arrest this kid.
But while the clip is causing controversy on social media platforms, the Syracuse Police Department claims that they only placed the child into a police car to take him home to his father. And officers say that he was never handcuffed and never charged, and they already knew him from prior incidents. So the officers were reportedly wearing body cameras, and the community is eager to see what that video will show.
Now, this, by the way, is an example of introducing ambiguity in the situation. Now, at this time, the body cam footage was not released. However, they did contact the father, and the father said quite clearly that he brought his son home, and he actually disciplined the kid for stealing the chips and told him that he's already had this conversation before of him stealing the chips.
The three of them are riding around the city, going into stores and grabbing up stuff and running out. It was chips and drinks and whatever they want. That's what they do every day, is they go to stores and they steal stuff. They steal food and snacks and drinks and...
I did all the stuff.
Right.
Now I'm a man that work a second shift, so now I get 2 o'clock. I need some rest.
I hear you.
But while I'm sleeping, resting, my wife is sick. Her pressure went up, she made almost 2 weeks in the hospital. They didn't know that. Okay, now, who are these men?
The police. Apparently they are back now.
Police? 318 there, but... You know what police for? What police for?
7 people.
Huh?
7 people.
7 people. People life and people property. You know that? Eh? Okay. Now, what I've been telling you, that keep away from people property. Keep away from people place. If you leave from here, go straight to the center there.
So the idea that the police are saying that they had to deal with this kid before, or they're just saying that they never handcuffed him, there's no video from any angle of them handcuffing the kid, and the father acknowledges that the kid did steal the bag of chips, and that the police or people had to deal with this kid before. So none of that is ambiguous, but we have seen the body cam footage at this time, so we're gonna see who's lying. The crazy person at the street who was yelling at the police during the course of the viral video, or the actual body cam footage. Maybe it shows the cops lying. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, because I'm not going to find him there. Get off your bike. Get off your bike. Hey.
It wasn't you.
Get off your bike.
I'm not on the phone.
Get off. Come on. Come on. Hey, stop. Get over here.
Now, they did actually bring the boy home to his father, but the reason they were grabbing onto the kid is because the kid tried to run away. And she's going to say that she doesn't want to bring race into it, but remember, the only reason somebody was outraged at the way that the cops were bringing the kid to his parent, the only reason this is a story is so that they could push evil white racism. Aren't police racist? Aren't white people racist? What if this was a white kid repeatedly stealing? I bet you the police would have just gave him the chips.
I'm outraged. This is outrageous to me. The fact that he's 8 years old and a bag of Doritos? I mean, come on, you guys. The fact that, you know, the way they were dragging him, the fact that they put him in a car. Why don't you call his father and have him come pick him up, or his mother? But also, I feel like, and I hate bringing race into it, but if it was a white little boy, I'm sure they would have probably bought him 2 bags of Doritos and taken care of him. Like, I'm so sick of this, you know, mistreatment just because of the color of his skin. He's 8 years old.
So I want to point out that I was actually joking when I said that they were probably going to say something in the vein of, if he were a white kid, they would give him the chips. She actually just said it. She said if it was a white kid, they would have bought him 2 bags of chips because it's okay for white people to repeatedly steal over and over again. White kids, white people, never been arrested for anything at all whatsoever. I watched this clip a week ago and then decided to do the story, didn't have time, just played it again, and she did say that. So maybe it was like unconscious in the back of my memory, but I actually did not realize that she was going to say that. That's how absurd these people are when it comes to the issue of race baiting.
Yeah, or the assumption that this kid, instead of wondering like, wow, were you hungry?
Right.
Did you need this?
The irony of the statement that this little kid is just an Aladdin and he's only stealing because he's hungry, because he's just like Aladdin, remember the movie Aladdin, is that this is actually based on the assumption that his parents are bad parents, and the only reason they're covering the story is because it's a little black kid, so she must believe that black people are so poor they can't even afford to feed their kids.
Go play and come right home when you know it get to 6 o'clock. You don't take what belongs to you. It make you to be a thief. And if you steal, if I ask you, you can't tell me the truth. If I can't trust you, if anybody come and say anything about you, I will definitely believe it. I tell you this thing every day. Stay home. I got a home for you. That's why I work.
You guys got food. You got food in your house, right? You're eating. So why you
every weekend I go buy the food. That's the food I was going back, and you don't call me. I come my way on the highway. So I do exit and then come right back.
That's where this lady is coming from, and she's trying to pretend to be the empathetic one. By the way, the cops didn't make any assumption. They've dealt with this kid multiple different times. They knew him specifically. They knew he came from a good home. He was just acting up.
In the interview, the boy's father, Anthony he said the police came to his home, told him his 3 boys were accused of stealing chips, and he said the cops were friendly, that they weren't going to press any charges, but then he didn't see the video initially, and then once he saw the video, he was like, oh, wow, you know, my son's being mistreated.
So all that ambiguous speech earlier in the video about how the police arrested this kid or whatever is all nonsensical. It's all lies. She just said right there that they're quoting from the father that the police brought him home and said that they weren't going to press charges against any of these 3 boys, his 3 sons, and he thought that they were actually quite friendly to him, and he appreciated the cops for bringing him home and not making a bigger situation out of this. Remember the intro where they're like, the video appears to show an arrest of an 8-year-old black boy. No, it doesn't. You knew it didn't, but you reported it like that in the beginning, even though we're about a minute in, and now you're admitting that nobody was arrested, and actually the police were quite friendly. The only person who was spazzing out was the person in the video, which we'll go over a little bit later.
And, and for an 8-year-old with a police officer, it's scary. And that's why you saw him react. And he basically is going to be traumatized for the rest of his life.
So right here, they're talking about how it is traumatic for an 8-year-old to have to deal with the police, which, by the way, it is traumatic. Hopefully, this triggers the kid to not be a thief going forward. However, this is multiple different reactions in to this kid's encounters with the police, so I'm not hopeful about this situation. But it's even more traumatic for an 8-year-old who has to deal with the police after they stole something. If a guy actually comes up and starts talking about how this 8-year-old's life is in danger. And by the way, this kid was fighting the cops. 100%. He was struggling. He was trying to run away. That's why the cops had to grab him. He should have just got in the car, but apparently he's too good for that nonsense. He was trying to run away even though they know who this kid was. But it doesn't help the situation when a random person is talking about how the racist cops are looking to kill this 8-year-old.
Yo, get the fuck off! Why you bending him up like that, yo?
What are you doing to that young boy?
What are you bending him up like that for, man? I ain't just saying let him go. Let him relax. He a fucking little baby, man.
And you're helping here by yelling in the back.
Now I'm helping here by making sure y'all kill his little ass.
That's what was being said to the kid while he was being brought in the car, which, by the way, the police have had multiple different interactions with him. So maybe the reason he reacted so stressfully was because he thought his life was in danger, because some random idiot was screaming that his life was in danger.
Well, that's why we want to see the body cam footage, because allegedly they snatched him off of his bike.
Yeah.
So it needs to be more footage so that people can see, because the little boy, I think that's why they scared him by snatching him, and then actually put him in a car.
So the police have maintained that they did not snatch him off his bike. The person who filmed it, who was crazy, who was talking about how the police were going to kill this kid and this kid should be terrified of the police, said that they snatched him off of his bike. But guess what? We've seen the body cam footage. The kid tried to run away. They didn't grab him off his bike. They grabbed him so he could not ride away and then asked him to get off of his bike because he was trying to run away. I will play the footage for you so you can see it for yourself.
Get off your bike.
It wasn't you.
Get off your bike.
I'm not going.
Get off. Come on. Come on. Hey, stop. Get over here.
So this myth is totally nonsensical in every possible way, and obviously if the police violently attacked this kid, the Syracuse PD probably wouldn't be backing them. They'd probably put him on administrative leave once they reviewed the footage. Hell, they would press charges against them if they assaulted this kid. That's not what happened. They did everything that you'd want a community-oriented policing to do, except they're really mad because this kid tried to run away, so that they grabbed him. Then he kept fighting the cops because people were saying, oh, you're going to get killed unless you get away from these cops. And that's what created all the problems.
I remember when I was maybe around the same age, and I think I told this story before on The Real, where I shoplifted a little pencil kit from a Hello Kitty, a Sanrio store in the Bay. And I remember how terrified I was getting caught, getting taken to the back. The manager was there. They made me call my mom. Mom and I had to come into the unit and pick me up. And we had to go to the mall department security in order to fill out paperwork, and we talked about juvenile hall if I was going to get press charges. It was so serious. Just that alone traumatized me for life. I knew how serious shoplifting was just from that experience. So I can't imagine being hauled off.
So they did essentially the same thing to this lady when she was shoplifting. The only difference is this isn't the first time with this kid, and obviously he's not listening to them, but the police are still giving him chances because he's a little kid and they don't want to throw a little kid in jail. But again, this kid hasn't learned his lesson. That's the whole point of this story. This wouldn't have happened had he learned his lesson the first, second, third, fourth time. The store owners complain about this guy stealing repeatedly because this kid is stealing repeatedly with his two brothers.
With policemen. And I have to agree with you, Garcelle. I mean, that didn't happen to me. I was never handcuffed or not even close to police taking me into a car or upholding me without my parents there. So I think that was a right that a child should always have. The parent is there first before authorities.
You just have these people making things up blatantly. We know for a fact he was never handcuffed. Even the cell phone video shows the kid not being handcuffed. There was no evidence ever presented that this kid was handcuffed. But she's like, oh, when it happened to me, I was never handcuffed. It was nothing like this. It was exactly like this. The only difference is that she was caught in the store. So when you're caught in the store, the people at the store, their security can actually hold you within the store until your parents come. This kid was caught on the street, so the police held the kid. These situations are identical, but because it's a little black kid, we have to pretend that it's evil white racism afoot. Wow, aren't cops racist? How horrible is it that the cops were like, hey kid, please stop stealing from the store. We've gotten multiple complaints about you. Let's bring you home to your father. Be nice to your father. Talk about how we're not going to press charges and all this other stuff.
Yeah, he was not handcuffed. He was put in the back, but we just need to see more of it.
Now, I've often said Lonnie is the best one on the Real Talk. She's actually the one who will bring more accurate information. And this is now 2 times she's corrected this other girl for the nonsense that she's put forward, because she said right there, rightfully so, that he was not handcuffed, to be clear, and she's waiting to see the other footage. This is a reasonable response. This is what you want to see from people who are covering this. Obviously, they come from a certain side of the political spectrum, but the least amount of speculation comes from Lonnie, and I do appreciate her for that. And that's me being 100% honest. I know I'm joking around, hashtag save the real, because I need them to help me pay for my mortgage, but she clearly is the voice of reason on this panel consistently, and this is proof positive of that. Now, the thing about this video is that even though it's 6 minutes long, it actually cuts off halfway because they do a completely different story. And normally, I wouldn't touch the completely different story because the YouTube pranks are going wrong, blah, 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 blah. However, this chick says a line in there that we need to talk about before we wrap this up.
With a pie thing, just so that this person can, like, get views. And I hate this world we're living in right now.
You hate it?
Hate.
That's what I thought I heard. Hate.
Hate.
Hate. How? Anyway, that's all I really have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you can show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social medias. You can support me via the support links in the description box. This has been me talking about the Real Talk, ginning up racial hysteria. Till next time.